What's going on, everyone? My name is Jake. This is Where I Talk Capes, and today we're going to talk about Captain America and the nanotech helmet. Captain America, Brave New Bird. Captain America, Red, White and Bird. Captain America, Big Brave Bird. Captain America, Red Hulking Bird. And other dumb titles that I can think of. We're here to talk about Captain America, Brave New World. Now, this is just going to be the first video I do on the film. I'm just going to talk kind of spoiler-free on the movie for the most part here. And then I'll do a more in-depth sort of spoiler full look at the video tomorrow probably. I'm probably going to go see it again tonight because I did miss the first 10 minutes. I know they're not entirely consequential to the movie, but I do kind of want to go see it again because I was in the cinema with just a group of 16-year-olds just talking and shouting and laughing. And it just kind of distracted from it. Listen, I don't think I'm going to go, and I don't think my opinion on this movie is going to change drastically. But, you know, I would like to go see it again. So I'll probably maybe go see it again later today, make my spoilers video tomorrow. But we're just going to talk about the movie today. We're going to talk about Brave New Bird. And I didn't even fucking mean that one. I have not referred to that movie by its real name in months. I think since I saw that Weekly Planet poster where it said Red, White and Bird, I've never called it Brave New World. Unless I intentionally go, fuck, I need to call this movie its real name. So I'm probably never going to call it its real name throughout this video. And I just know I 9 times out of 10 don't mean it. So, I thought Brave New World, there we go, was fine. I think in terms of the sort of bad Marvel output, it's definitely not as bad as a Secret Invasion. I don't think it's as bad as a Thor 2. I don't think it's as bad as, I quite like Love and Thunder, but I understand that it's a bad movie. I don't think it's as bad as that, although I like Love and Thunder. It was fine. It's fine. I think in the grand scheme of things, I think one of the things for me with this movie is, one, why is everyone a Hulk character? And I know why, obviously, the whole rights issues and the fact they can't make Hulk movies or whatever. And I get that. And I understand you want to introduce these iconic characters. Obviously, we've had Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU ever since Ed Norton was the Hulk. And we've never really even looked as if we were getting close to running Thunderbolt Ross as the Red Hulk. And then, obviously, William Hurt died, and everyone was like, what are we going to do? And then we announced that we had Harrison Ford, and he's going to be the Red Hulk. And okay, cool. But a big thing for me, and then obviously we've got the leader in this, we've got Sabra, but not really Sabra, but we still do have Ruth Bat-Sarat, or whatever her name is, in this. And they're all Hulk characters. And I think for a movie that was already under a lot of scrutiny from racists, because it's not Captain America, the same way that Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man to certain people. And I just want to make it abundantly clear, Sam Wilson is Captain America, Steve Rogers is Captain America, Miles Morales is Captain America, is Spider-Man, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Shut the fuck up. But the way that I kind of see it is I understand there's maybe not a ton of iconic Cap villains, and definitely not a ton of iconic Sam Cap villains, and we've obviously done Winter Soldier, we've done the Red Skull. They're probably the 2 biggest ones. The Serpent Society. Who at Marvel hates the Serpent Society? I think the Serpent Society are fun. We get them in this, but they're like a group of international mercenaries, and Giancarlo Esposito is hamming it up as Sidewinder, and he's not got like a big snake-themed costume. And obviously, before it was announced as Civil War, it was kind of leaked that the joke leak was that it was going to be Captain America versus the Serpent Society in the third Captain America movie. So, you do have the options with other Captain America villains. And I understand that those villains aren't as iconic as the leader and as the Red Hulk. But why are we doing the leader and the Red Hulk in a Captain America movie that doesn't even have the Hulk in it? It's weird. And I get why, because Thunderbolt Ross had kind of just become a sort of overarching antagonist for the MCU. He was less sort of tied to the Hulk, and he was more tied to, he brought in the Sokovia Accords, he was hunting Black Widow at the start of that movie that should have came out 3 years before it came out. he kind of grown out of just being a Hulk villain just by the virtue of the fact they couldn't make Hulk movies. And it makes sense for, you know, the sort of the politics and the political drama and stuff that they've kind of been telling with these Captain America stories since the Winter Soldier. But I still don't love that we got the debut of Red Hulk in a non-Hulk movie and the return of the leader in a non-Hulk movie. And they were part of a Captain America story. I don't think that was great. And yeah, probably with Red Hulk it was a way to get people through the door because, I don't know, I guess people wanted to see the Red Hulk, and I guess they know what racists are like, and they're like, we won't go see it because Captain America's black. But then they're like, oh, Red Hulk's here, maybe I'll go see it now. I get it for that, but I still don't think, for me, that was the best decision. I mean, I thought the movie was fun, and I'll say this right now, a lot of what worked for me were the performances. I think Anthony Mackie was brilliant, especially when you can kind of tell that, because you can tell this is a Franken movie. They shot this movie like 4 or 5 times. You can tell this movie is a sort of mash of different ideas and different visions at different times. I think Anthony Mackie feels consistent throughout. And I think when you look at movies like Madam Web and you look at movies like Craven, and I understand they're maybe not the best examples of movies, but you look at movies that have been like plagued with reshoots, and you look at a lot of times when actors are just doing something completely different, or they're not consistent scene to scene. I think, considering how much this movie had to be reshot, Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford as well were fantastic and consistent throughout. And I think for a movie that, like I say, I think at the start you can tell it's been reshot a lot. As the movie kind of settles into itself, you become less and less aware that it's been reshot like 4 or 5 times. But I still am confused. I understand why, for a business and legal reasons with the Hulk movies and stuff, but I'm still confused why we don't even see Bruce Banner in a movie where the villains are the Red Hulk and the leader. Just even have him be in it, you know? Just have him be there for a bit. However, one of the big things for me that ultimately didn't work, or not necessarily didn't work, but worked against the movie, was its own marketing. Because I don't think this movie is as... I think I like this movie more without the reveal of the Red Hulk and without the reveal of the leader beforehand. Because we then knew that that's what this movie was about, and I feel like this movie is obviously building and building and building to Thunderbolt Ross becoming the Red Hulk, President Ross becoming the Red Hulk. And I think with the fact that all of the promotional material was built around Red Hulk versus Cap, it robs us of any sort of sense of... We don't really suspend our disbelief. We know that Ross is a ticking time bomb, and we know that by the end of this movie, he is going to go Red Hulk, and they are going to fight through the White House. We've seen that. We know that's happening. So at all the times that they're kind of doing the Ross is getting stressed, and Ross is getting angry, and Ross is being manipulated from the shadows, and everything is conspiring against Ross, and to finally make him go, every time he pulls himself back from the edge and he calms down, we all go, oh, okay, it's not happening yet. And realistically, if none of the promotional material shows him as the Red Hulk, which one of the things I do really want to say about this movie, I think the CGI on the Red Hulk was fantastic. I think some of the CGI through the film, kind of here and there, sort of lapses, and I think some of the final fight against the Red Hulk has that... I mean, it's not as bad as Quantumania, but it does have that this was filmed in a cupboard kind of feel to it. I mean, I would say this is also better than Quantumania as well. This movie, I think it's definitely better than Quantumania. But I think some of that final fight feels filmed in a cupboard, but the Red Hulk does always look great. As you can tell, I've got no notes, as I always do for these. I'm just going in trying to remember things off the top of my head. But no, I think a lot of the dramatic weight and the tension and the build and the suspense is all gone, because we know that by the end of this movie, he is going to be the Red Hulk and he is going to fight Sam at the Cherry Blossoms. And that is your big action set piece. And I get it. But when we're building and building and building and building and building, and keep in mind that Thunderbolt Ross has been an active member of this universe for 17 years now. The Incredible Hulk came out in 2008. So the character of Thunderbolt Ross has been in the MCU for 17 years, and we've never seen him turn Red Hulk, and there was never any real indication he was going to turn Red Hulk until this movie. If they'd have just hid that in from the marketing campaign, we'd have went in and been like, oh, that's cool, they got in Harrison Ford to sort of continue on the story of Thunderbolt, and obviously we've got the Thunderbolts movie coming and stuff like that. I don't think I'd have been, especially because it's Harrison Ford, I would not have been expecting Harrison Ford to turn Red Hulk, and then when he does at the end of the movie, I'd be like, holy fuck, they hid the Red Hulk reveal. And I think I would have gave this movie a little bit more credit to it. And I think as well with the reveal of the leader, and maybe you make the leader part of the marketing campaign as opposed to the Red Hulk, because it was revealed that Tim Blake Nelson was coming back at Comic-Con, and that was like a huge big thing, and I was excited for that. And I think he's good in this. He's kind of in like a bit of a not necessarily a limited role in this, but the leader as a villain doesn't pose an interesting threat to Captain America, and I don't think the leader ever can pose an interesting threat to Captain America. Now, the idea that Captain America is fighting the President of the United States, who is the Red Hulk, that is very interesting, and I guess you need the leader to get him to there. But I think given the fact that he's not a particularly interesting foil to Cap, kinda hurts. I think Tim Blake Nelson is fine in this, but again, I'm never really that interested in what he has to do with Cap. I'm more interested in how he's manipulating and pulling the strings to get us to the Red Hulk. He is a means to an end in this movie, and I would like to see him be used in another movie, and I would like to see I would just like to see something with the leader, because I think the leader's a great character, and I do think Tim Blake Nelson is a very good pick for the leader. But I don't think he works incredible. He's just a plot device, which to me kind of sucks, because maybe now we're not going to get the leader again, because we used him in this and he doesn't work particularly well because he was just being used as a plot device to have us watch Captain America fight the President, you know? However, some stuff that really did work for me, as mentioned, I think a lot of the performances here are really good. Like I say, I think Tim Blake Nelson does a lot with, a fairly limited role in what the leader is going to do and is allowed to do, just because of, I guess, him just being used to essentially move the plot along. I think Harrison Ford is really good. I think Anthony Mackie is really good. I think Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres as the new Falcon is really good, and I actually quite like the suit as well. I think Carl Lumbly as returning as Isaiah Bradley works a lot here, and that's something I'm going to talk about in a minute. I also think Giancarlo Esposito works a lot here. Now, Giancarlo Esposito has said a lot lately that he, wants to kind of doesn't just want to be seen as villains who monologue, and obviously he's good at that, but he kind of wants to do more. And I mean, in this, he's like a little bit of a villain who monologues. He is Sidewinder, he's the head of a mercenary group, he's got knives and guns, and he's trying to kill Captain America, but he's doing a lot of, hamming it up in this, which I think is really fun. He's not been given enough time to ham it up, but in specifically the fight, specifically the second appearance of him, the big fight when they go into the scrapyard. Let's say the big fight, the fight he has with Sam that kind of leads into the scrapyard. He's doing a lot of just real big fun, over the top, yeah. I think he's a lot of fun in that. And I would like to see him come back and do more. I think if we just let him ham it up, I think he'd have a great time here. And again, this goes back to, I want to talk about Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, who I think is a wonderful addition to this, and I think a wonderful addition to the universe. I think bringing him in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was great. I really enjoyed that show until it gets to the end, and then it just becomes everyone's bad, and obviously we have a real interesting and unique villain in Carly Morgenthau, and then she just kills someone for no reason because we need to have a big episode 6 fight against the bad guys, even though she's not a bad guy, or wasn't until that moment. But I think a lot of what that show had done worked for me, and I think the inclusion of Isaiah Bradley definitely worked for me. But going back to kind of what I said about building a lot of the marketing campaign around the Red Hulk reveal, I think more people go see this movie if the marketing is built around the idea that someone is manipulating Isaiah Bradley from the shadows to make him try and kill the president, and Sam is basically fighting against the president to find this shadowy figure in the background who is manipulating everything that made his friend try and kill the president. And then we think the film is about him trying to clear Isaiah's name, and then in the end we get the Red Hulk fight as well. But then as well, we've also, and I get that, we've done that. We had 2 whole movies about the friend of Captain America being under mind control and killing political leaders. But that's just kind of what this is. There's times in this movie where it feels like Marvel just went, hey, remember how people liked The Winter Soldier a lot and then also Civil War a lot? What worked in those movies? Oh, mind control, assassination, political stuff. Okay, cool. Oh, let's throw the leader in so it's not the exact same. And yeah. I think with this film, because I thought it was fine. I gave it a 2.5 stars on Letterboxd at Jake Talks Films. Potential maybe bump it to a 3 if I go see it again and have a better cinema experience. I think this film is just tripping over itself a lot. And I don't just mean the sort of behind the scenes and the reshoots and the script changes and this isn't working. But, you know, there was apparently reshoots after the first trailer came out. And I think this film is... I mean, like I say, revealing the Red Hulk in the trailers means this film is always catching up to itself. And I didn't love that. But I still thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I think if you like the Captain America movies and you're kind of mostly in on what Marvel are doing and you're willing to kind of be taken along for the ride to see where this goes, then I think you'll think it's fine. I don't think anyone's going to come away from this and say this is the best MCU film I've ever seen. But again, I also don't think you're going to walk away from this and be like, I'm going to go watch Quantumania now to cleanse my palate. So, you know, it's fine. One last thing I would like to talk about here, just before we finish up for today's video anyway, is the inclusion of Sabra, the inclusion of Ruth, the inclusion of the actor Shira Haas in this. So for those unaware, Sabra is a sort of Israeli superhero in the comics, also a Hulk character, and she's fucking Captain Israel or whatever, basically. She's not an entirely overly consequential character. She's kind of sprung up throughout history in like Hulk books and stuff or whatever. But her whole thing is that she's like an Israeli superhero. And obviously in 20, let's just go from 2023 to now, despite the fact that Israel have been committing atrocities in Palestine forever, it became very clear that they couldn't run her as Sabra. So then the Sabra character has kind of been dumbed down to just Ruth, and she's like she's like a Secret Service advisor to the president, and she's the one that the president trusts the most. And then I believe I read that in one of the reshoots they did, or maybe the ADR'd over it, is when Joaquin Torres is doing his sort of research on Ruth, and because I believe she's meant to be Mossad. And then they say, I guess to just take Mossad out of it, they go, oh, this is Ruth, and she was born in Israel, and then she was trained in the Red Room, so she's ex-Black Widow, and then they kind of move on from it. But the character of Ruth is entirely inconsequential in this movie, especially because there is another character who can fulfill her role in this movie, and it be more interesting. So the actor, I believe, Sosha Rockmore, I believe that's how you pronounce it, she plays a character called Layla Taylor, who is a Secret Service agent who has personal connection to Sam. And I'm assuming the writers just did this because they were like, of course Sam would know the highest ranking black lady in the Secret Service, because he's black. But she's there, she's kind of close to the president, she's the one that's sort of relaying between Sam and the president at the start of the movie. And then we're just introduced to Sabra, we're just introduced to Ruth, and then Layla's role is completely taken out, essentially. At the start of the movie, we see the president at the grave of his wife. We see Thunderbolt Ross at the grave of his wife, and it's Layla who's with him. It's the person who knows Sam that's with him. And then as the movie goes on, Ruth takes on that role, and then while Sam is kind of going rogue and doing his own thing and trying to like clear Isaiah's name or whatever, you've got Layla on the phone to him being like, the president isn't going to like this, and then you've got Sabra just trying to kill him. And it's infinitely more interesting if that is one character. It's infinitely more interesting if the president's closest advisor, the person the president trusts the most with his safety, also has a personal connection to Sam, and she's caught in the middle of this, and she's just basically trying to not play both sides, but just say like, hey, we should maybe fucking have a conversation here. And it adds a lot more drama to the plot, and it adds a lot more intrigue to the plot. But instead of giving either of these characters a defined arc, we just split them into two, I guess because they didn't want to sack an Israeli actor off the set. And to be completely honest, I don't care if Shira Haas doesn't work a day in her fucking life. Shira Haas gave up her IDF exemption because she was in entertainment to go and serve in the IDF and fucking kill Palestinians. So I don't give a fuck if she's never in another one of these movies. But apart from that, what the fuck is the point in having the character of Ruth in this movie when she has no personal connection to Sam? And I understand that we've never met the character of Layla either, and you can say that you can say the same thing, and that also works here. But we are told that she's close to Sam, and she's seemingly the president's number one advisor and his closest advisor in the Secret Service. And then when shit hits the fan, the president just stops trusting her and starts trusting Ruth, and it just robs either character of any meaningful weight in the story, apart from like when Sabra shows up and beats a couple dudes up, and then like helps helps Cap escape when the leaders guys come. It's the whole thing. It is an infinitely more interesting story without the character of Ruth. So that is, of course, how I'm going to end my non-spoiler talk here, with a big rant about how we should get rid of the Israeli character because I love Palestine. No. That's of course how we're going to end it. I don't have a lot more to talk about without getting into spoiler territory, which we will talk about tomorrow. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like the video, please leave it a like and a couple of comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the film. Let me know if there's anything that I missed, anything that you think I maybe got wrong. Do you think it was amazing? Do you think it was awful? I really want to hear everyone's opinions on this movie down below. Don't forget to share this around with your friends. Let them know that there's a handsome man on YouTube with great comic book opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.